All right, we're live. We're V Live. Chris, this is the
Yeah,
new format. V
we are
Live.
vertical. We're going
How,
vertical.
how do you feel when you're vertical? How do you feel vertical?
I don't feel any taller.
Yeah, I didn't. I feel a little. I feel a little. Crammed in here a little bit, but it's okay.
Whoa,
Makes me
whoa!
look thinner. Yeah, makes me look thinner. So what's up,
Can't see
guys?
nothing.
Hey,
Can't see nothing behind me. Really,
no, it's just this is up close and personal.
it is.
This is what these lives are for. So
So
ugly
you
dogs
can
in
hear me,
here.
okay?
Yeah, everybody in the chat, if you could hear us and our audio and our video is good, please give a thumbs up or say yes or no. We got Matt from Wanna Be Outdoors. We got Charlie from Ugly Dog Lures. Hope Charlie's doing well. Matt, thank you for coming in. Appreciate you
Ugly dog.
guys. As you can see from our thumbnail, we're gonna be talking about some deer management. What we did this weekend. Sound is good. That's awesome. I'm going to talk about what I did this weekend, and then we're going to get into some deer management with Chris and myself, talking about what you can do nowadays. After the season's over and you don't know what to do with yourself, so you can get out in the woods and do some things here. So we're going to have some ideas and talk about some strategies and things like that. Hey, Mom, thanks for coming in. And then we're going to get into some other topics as we go. And like I said, this is a new forum. I went vertical the other day, and you'll see my when I do these vertical lives, I call it a V live now. That's just my thing. I don't know if anybody else does calls it that or not, but I'm calling it a V live. Chris went vertical. What was it? Yesterday or the day before,
Yes.
Chris?
Yesterday, just for real quick, just to try it out.
Yeah. How did you like it?
I mean, it went real smooth.
Yeah.
Someone said that my feed was kind of freezing up. Like the
Okay.
voice was fine, but the feed was freezing.
Okay. Okay. I know when I did mine, I had my. I didn't know if I could use my microphones with you being a guest today, like the co-host.
Right.
Hey, what's up, Matt? And so I didn't plug my mics in, so I'm just using the phone mic basically on this. But when I had it in the other day, I heard a little bit of clipping in it, so I don't know if that was me not having the mic in all the way or something. But
Okay.
that was bugging me during mine. But it went pretty well, and this forum or format that they're doing now, I guess there is. Hey, Phil from Peterson's Farms, thank you
Peterson,
for
hi.
coming in.
Want to be outdoors? Hi. Mrs. Bernie, hi. That's your mom.
Yes, it is. That's my mom. She follows me everywhere.
Yeah.
I love her for that. Thanks, Mom, for being in here. But yeah, so this format though is it's supposed to get sent out to your shorts feed, and then also there is a live vertical feed. Also on my analytics now, I see the vertical live feed and I see the shorts feed to
Huh.
go out there, and this is a more casual, I think, live than the normal studio type lives where you have it set up and you got your mics and everything. This is more Templin Acres. What's up? It's a little more like casual, like just talking. And I think I'm going to do my lives like when we're doing this stuff. I think if I'm going to have a guest up like you, one person or something, and we're talking about a specific topic, I may do that. But if there's other people involved, then we'll have to go with the regular, video podcast type style. So
Mhm.
I'm really excited about it. Hey, Dad.
What about dad? He
What
says
about he wasn't on yet? That's why I
it's
didn't see
all,
him.
it's all about
Kevin,
mom.
Kevin, what's up, Kevin? Thank you for being in here. Hit that like button if you haven't already. But
Spread the love, Ted. Spread that
yeah,
love.
Daniel Berry Sports Highlight. Hey, what's up? Now and when I did my live, Chris, and I don't know if you did the vertical live, there were some people. Obviously, you're reaching people that you don't get to. Okay.
Yeah.
And I had some people in there, and I guess I don't know if they call them bots or trolls or however they do that. But I'm trying to keep it. I want people in here that are interested in talking about the topics and everything. So
Yeah,
any
right.
moderators in here, and I think Matt is the only one right now that's in here that's a mod. So if anything gets out of hand there, Matt, whack them. The way I'd say whack them.
Send them
But
packing.
yeah, we want to keep it family friendly here, no swearing. Be respectful to everybody that's in the live. And like I said, I'm just saying that stuff. I know you all are, but I don't know with this new format if what's going to happen. Hey Blakes, what's up, brother? Thanks for coming in. Yeah, Blake. Somebody. He's one of the guys that are getting my baits. He emailed me, so he's getting a pack of my baits to do a video on. So, but yeah, you just got to be careful with the bots and the trolls and stuff in here. So, but yeah, my live went pretty good the other day, Chris. I was very happy with it, so
Yeah,
I'm
I
excited about this.
I didn't get any of that luckily, and you know what? I haven't really experienced that yet. Of course, I don't.
Yeah.
I'm not real active. I usually do a couple videos a week and that's it. But
Yeah, well,
that's going to
we're
start to
getting you out.
change. With this type of format, it's going to make it easier. I could just jump on, do a pop up
Yep.
live or something. I'm
Yeah.
planning on doing some more of that stuff, and especially with the plot season coming.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So with that being said, Chris, we're going to get into our deer management, the title of our video here. So this weekend, what I did was I took Theo and we went down to camp. I met my dad down there. He was down there Friday night. We went down. We had a couple other guys from camp come down, and our goal this weekend was to clear out apple trees. Get some. Because there's a lot of vines that grow, and over the years they get choked out and things like that. So we
Yep.
went down there and we ended up doing a lot of work. We got a bunch of guys together. We cut out vines. We cleared out around apple trees, and we were doing that just to open them up so we can sort of take some of the pressure off of our food plots. We want to get the apples growing, fertilize them. We're probably going to plant a little bit of rye or some clover around them, and try to take some of the pressure off of our food plots. Try to get the
Right.
tonnage on the ground. Get them apples growing.
Yeah, it's a good
So
idea to take advantage of that bare dirt, especially
yeah,
before the leaf canopy gets on.
yes, for sure. So we opened it up to the sun, and it was funny because we were cutting on trees, and we weren't cutting real big ones. We were cutting 6-inch trees down. Like just sumacs and things like that, that weren't really any kind of help for us. So we cut them out and we cleared probably about 10 trees. I'm going to say 10 apple trees. We probably have 40 apple trees down there that we got to get to. So every time we go down there, we're going to try to add a little bit, open it up a little bit for it. But the reason, like I
Right.
said, the reason why we're doing that is because, hey, what's up, Daniel? Danimals. I said Daniel. Dan from Danimals. But yeah, like we said, we want to do that to add some more food and to take the pressure off of our plots because we only have 100 some acres down there. We have about 2 or 3 acres of food plot, Chris, and the deer down there will hammer that. Even
Yeah.
you get 10 deer on them food plots, they
Right.
hammer it, and we could tell the pressure by the end of the year.
Well, not only what you did is a great thing, is to take care of those apple trees for the future of your hunting there, but
Yeah,
look at it from this perspective too. What you just did is you dropped a lot of branches and things on the ground. And right now, the state of the deer's diet is browse. Especially with this snow we just got on over this weekend.
yeah,
And you've brought that food down to their level now. You've dropped it to the ground, and you're
yeah,
going to find if you sneak back out there, if anybody goes down to camp this week, there's going to be deer tracks everywhere. They're going to be feeding on those buds and that tender shoots and things that you dropped. I
yeah,
mean, so not only helping in the long run for the future, but you just
yeah.
help them right now.
Yeah, and what we did too is we had a couple guys when we were cutting down, they were dragging and making brush piles as well. And like for like the rabbits and
Yep.
whatever we were. So we made brush piles and things like that. But yeah, we ended up getting 6 inches of snow. So it wasn't the perfect time to be doing that, but we made it happen. We got out there. It was good. We were working, we stayed warm. Theo
Yep.
did great. He was out there with his little electric chainsaw, cutting
Mm.
branches and things like that. So he was helping out. So it was a
Yep.
great experience. My dad was down there. We got a lot of work done. But yeah, we cut, like I said, we cut a bunch out. We got about 8 or 10, I think 10 trees opened up, and we got a lot more work to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, when you take an apple tree, like if you, when you're pruning, you want to prune stuff that crosses each other or hangs or suckers that stick straight up, and it's a good thing to
Yeah,
do the
a
pruning.
lot
I
of
mean, this
vines.
time of year is the time to do it.
Yeah, there was a lot. Hey, Johnny, thanks for coming in. Crossover, thank you for coming in. Yeah, there's a lot of vines. You know how the vines choke out everything, and
Right?
we cut a few trees down that wouldn't fall because of the vines. So we had to
Okay.
cut the tree, go up like the ladder effect, cut it out, make it come down, and then finally we dropped them.
Gotcha.
But yeah, we did good. I got a couple shorts that'll be coming out with that to show you guys a little bit. I didn't video because of the weather. Like I wanted to video it, but hey, Rob, thanks for coming in.
It was like a white hot there every 10 minutes or so.
Hmm.
It was crazy here too. High winds,
Yeah, and
power
it was
power kept
pretty
flicking on and off.
nasty. It was nasty. This morning I got up and it was cold. It was cold. Everything that we created yesterday, all the mud froze solid. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Everything was solid.
yeah. The
Um,
water line at camp froze for a couple hours there. I had to throw a heater underneath.
really?
So, yeah, I
Hey,
got
what's
it
up,
all
Adam?
out.
Thanks for coming in, Adam. Lucky Dad's in here. My YouTube just shut off. Hey everyone, freeze around Blake's. We got 3 inches, but our pond froze from last night to this morning. Just the top layer, it didn't freeze, solid. But it was normal yesterday, and then today we woke up to some hard water. And then Theo and I went up. When I got down there yesterday, you know that my last video we put up the deer feeders and the protein blocks. Hey
Yes.
Ottercat, and I had 1,600 pictures on my new Cam Park camera that I had out there. So
What?
I checked the cameras, and there was a bunch of turkeys eating on the protein pellets, and before the snow got there, and a bunch of deer. Now I didn't see any. They were all baldies. They were all doe or bucks that lost their antlers.
Right.
But there was a bunch of deer utilizing that, and a bunch of turkeys. So we know that area. We're helping the animals out down there. So that was good to see that.
Right.
1,600 pictures in a week's pretty good. You know what I mean?
Man, we're very, very limited on turkeys up here.
Really?
I'm guessing maybe because of the coyotes. I don't know. But
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
we don't see a lot of turkeys up this way.
Okay. Good morning, Dave from Gotta Love Thailand. What's up? Ottercat's in here. Thank you guys for coming in. We got 19 people in here right now. Hit that like button if you haven't. But I'm here
Adam
talking
said
to
he's been in
Chris.
and out of power too.
Yeah. So you guys have power issues up that way, Chris?
We did it, flicked off, a couple times on us because of the high
Okay.
winds. But
Yeah.
yeah, I was able to keep my power here. Like I said, Adam said he was in and out too, and he's within a half hour of me.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right, cool. So that's what I did this weekend. But let's go into a little bit of what other kind of projects can you do like this time of year, Chris, to help your deer herd besides like clearing out trees and things like that? What else can you do? Should you
Well, like,
be hinge cutting right now? Should we be
yeah,
hinge cutting?
you can do that. You could do some TSI work, and like I said, you're bringing food down to their level at that point.
Lamb jam.
Get it down, and you can cut trees. You can clear shooting lanes and things. I mean, you could do some scouting, but not a lot of what you're scouting right now is what you're going to be hunting in October
Yeah,
because of
exactly.
the different patterns that they're running, different times of the year and things. I mean, but it's good to see where they're moving.
Yeah.
Let me see what else. I like my screening.
Yeah.
Of course, now there's 6 inches of snow, but I was getting ready to fire up the tractor and go over with the brush hog and mow down all my screening. But you could be doing that. And the other things you could be doing is, and we'll get into this later, is your soil samples. Getting
Yes,
ready
sir.
for spring. Getting ready for spring if you're going to be a food plotter.
Yeah.
That type of thing.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna do the I'm gonna pull that up, or that's my PA soil test kit too. But we'll be talking about that a little bit later on in the program, guys.
Right.
Adam said best time to get those shooting lanes in for sure.
For
Nothing's
sure.
growing. It's nice and cold. You can
Yep.
work without sweating, no bugs or anything like that. So that's a great thing to get out. What I do, now is like yesterday when it snowed, and it was Friday night. It snowed down there. Uh, there was nothing on the cameras from Saturday till Sunday. But when I got up this morning, I made it a point to go out and just walk up there and walk out. And there was a few tracks like after the snow came through and it was sitting and sort of like stabilized the weather. I saw some prints here and there, but there wasn't much movement yet. You know what I mean? So I'm thinking it's supposed to warm up here a little bit, and once it warms up again, they'll be out there moving around.
Right.
And I like to go, and like you said, you don't really hunt, you're not basing your hunting strategy off of right now and movement, but it's nice to go out there and see what trails. And they're basically using the thickest part of the woods right now to stay out of the way and out of the open. So you
I
go to them
mean,
spots, it's a great spot to even, go shed hunting also.
yeah, you can go find out where they're bedding right now, and like you said, you can go back in a couple of weeks here. You can find some sheds. Find out where the thermal bedding areas are.
Yeah.
Where they're staying in the winter. A lot of them are all herded up right now. I mean,
Yeah.
I had 6 in the backyard. They're eating. The other
Yeah.
night they're pawing up the clover and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's all intel, but only
Mhm.
so much of it will help you for hunting in
For sure.
October. I see a lot of guys saying, "Oh, I'm going out," and I'm going to scout a place to hunt. Well, you can scout places to hunt, but don't base your intel from January and February into September and October, November's hunt, because
for sure,
it's not going to be exactly the same.
Yeah.
So you might, shoot yourself in the foot, but definitely be out there looking for things. And like I said, this is the time of the year I like to drop stuff to the ground. If I'm going to do any cutting, this is it.
So Fishing with Land Jam has a question. We have 20 acres that has never been hunted or explored. Between now and next deer season, what do you recommend we do to prep the land for next year? Located in Alabama. And then Matt has a question after that.
So he has 20 acres.
He has 20 acres in Alabama, and I guess you take it first, and then I'll say what I do. I like to get both of our perspectives on it.
Well, first of all, I'm assuming he means 20 acres total, and whatever you do, I wouldn't suggest going in there necessarily and trying to make bedding. I mean, because 20 acres isn't probably enough to hold a deer and live on your property per se. I'm not saying that you wouldn't get one that would try to do that, but more than likely that's going to be a place that they're going to come through, or they might be using your area specifically for a bed. I don't know.
Well, I'm saying, Chris, he does say, let me stop you right there. And I'm sorry to interrupt you. He does say that it's never been hunted or explored. So nobody's been in there yet.
Okay.
So base it off of that, just so you know.
Okay. So just basing it off of that, I would go in and look for all the heavy trails. And then I would find first of all, you need great access. You need to have good access into a stand or into that property, so that you're not busting deer on the way in and out. So that's primary. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then, like I said, find the trails. There's always going to be some kind of good communal, paths or scrapes or rubs or something. Find out where they're hanging out on that property, and then get a good tree or place to set up a blind or whatever, and go in now and cut your lanes, where you want to be shooting from. That's how I would approach that from the very beginning. Mm-hmm. If it's too thick for shooting, now's the time to get in there and cut it out, or brush hog a couple of lanes. Deer will, least resistance. They like to travel least resistance. So if you can go in there and mow a spot or brush hog a spot out or cut some lanes, make some corridors or whatever that they'll follow, and set up on the sides of those for an ambush. But that's how I would approach that at this point.
Yeah. Now, on my end of that, I would probably 20 acres untouched. I mean, you might have a monster living in there right now that you don't know about. You know what I mean? So I would be careful. I would, and Matt has mentioned this, and I would do it too. I would go in, look at the main trails. I would first check the wind. What's the dominant wind in that area? And approach it that way, like go in on downwind of your areas to walk through it. That way, if you kick something up, you may get eyes on it. Hey, Keith, what's up? You get eyes on it, but then you follow those main trails and then put cameras up and then get out of there and see what's there. You know what I mean? And cut out, look for a spot, but see what's in there first. And I think 20 acres could hold a monster, a giant, it's almost like a sanctuary if it's never been hunted before yet. So you got to be very careful with the wind and your access in and out of there for sure. But I would put cameras up on the main trails just to see what's in there, or how many deer are using that area. And then base it off of, if you want to hunt that area because you see something you like, then I would start making a plan out with the dominant wind and access and entry and access with it for sure, and base your stand locations off of the wind on that little, the little plot of land, because if you blow a big one out of there, it's probably not going to come back there. So you got to be pretty careful with that. It's pretty touchy situation with small land like that. And I consider our land small, like 100 acres. I consider that pretty small yourself, when you're going to blow deer out, they may go off of your property.
Yeah, it all depends on your access, how you can get in and out of there. I mean, that could make or break a property. I mean, really. Mm-hmm.
And Rob has a good,
like you said, it doesn't matter how big it is. I mean, if your only access is straight through the middle of the property, well, then you're probably going to have to hunt the edges in.
For sure, and that's exactly what Lucky Dad said. Rob, he said scout scout it once, then hunt the edges. Best thing is to stay out and hunt in and out routes for
Yep.
sure. I
Yep.
like that idea. Yeah, that's
Yep.
an awesome idea.
I seen
That's
someone
great.
also asked about adding a feeder or whatever. Well, the only condition I would say about supplemental feeding is do not give animals something that they don't get year round. What I'm trying to say is don't go into a patch of woods that there's no ag around, no one for miles has corn, and then you go throw out a corn feeder.
Oh, come
Because
on, Chris. Come on, that'll attract them all.
well, there's something called acidosis that a deer will eat and gorge itself,
Yeah.
and it'll blow up its four stomachs, and they could possibly die from this acidosis. So
Yes,
you got to
for sure.
watch. You got to watch adding supplemental feed out, and if it's not something that they're used to.
Yeah, I
But
would probably recommend dumping minerals first and then go into your food, you know?
to answer his question, when to put out a feeder, well, obviously you can't do it in hunting season, and so get past your hunting season, and whenever that is, you can start supplementing. That would be a good idea.
Hey,
All
David, thanks
from,
for coming in.
from spring on. I mean, if you're not a food plotter, uh, if you want to be attractable, I guess you're going to have to keep them in the area. Yeah, keep the feeder going from spring to fall.
Yeah. Now, me, you know how me, I in Ohio, I bait them for in Ohio, but you may not even want to put a feeder in there. You may want to hunt it naturally. You know, that way you don't disturb nothing, change anything up for them. Especially if there's a big one in there. You go in there and add a feeder, that big one's gonna be like, whoa, this wasn't here last week. I'm
Right.
out. I'm gonna go somewhere else where I'm not bothered. So you got to watch the pressure you're putting on that little plot of land. But now, what I wanted to ask Chris is, what do you think about putting a little shot plot in there, a little, 50 by 50 yard shot plot, or a 20 by 20 yard shot plot? What about
Yeah,
doing something like that, Chris?
just assess how many deer you have. Like Ted was saying, maybe put a little intel camera in there and watch it, see what you got, and just make sure you have enough there to feed them all. If you're going to attract them in there, you got to have enough in there, or they'll just wipe it out, and then you won't have a shot plot. But
Yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
I definitely. Obviously, I work with a seed company, so I love kill plots and shot plots, or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah, you can plug the seed company if you want, Chris.
Okay. I worked with, I'm partnered up with Domain Seed Company, and I advertise for them on my videos and things. And for those of you that might not know who I am, uh, obviously my channel's name is City Sticker, and it's a play on words. I grew up in Pittsburgh. I moved to the country, and now I have, it's obviously a play on words for City Slicker now that I've moved out of the city. But my passion's archery and food plotting and things, and a lot of my videos are self-filmed or over the seed company, the Domain Seed that I plant and advertise for. And so that's what I'm all about. I'm all about that kill plots, like Ted was just saying. I'm into that. I shoot a lot of does every year over kill plots, but I don't necessarily hunt the bucks over them. A lot of people are like, "Oh, why don't you do that?" Well, it just in the area I'm at, it's a lot of camps and things in my area. I call it a tourist trap. Um, there's a lot of weekend campers and things coming up from Pittsburgh or coming over from Ohio or whatever, and there's a lot of action on weekends, so the deer get disturbed, and the big boys don't seem to hang around where I'm hunting these does at. So we got to keep the doe population in check because they're bold. They'll stay right around the food. They don't care. Now the bucks are a little more wary. They'll stay out. They'll come in at night sometimes. I mean, they're around. You're just not going to run into them real easily. So I like to hunt the big woods of Pennsylvania, public land and stuff.
Yep, for sure. So from the hoods to the woods, that's the
From
slogan.
the
From the
hoods
hoods
to
to the
the
woods.
woods. That's what I
From the
say.
hoods to the woods.
Yep, that's one of my catchphrases. From the hoods to the woods.
You got to make a shirt, Chris. You got to put a shirt out and have that on the back of it.
Yeah, I've got a guy now I'm supposed to hook up with, and he's going to make me some stickers of my channel, and he presses t-shirts and stuff. So yeah, I've got that, and I've got another catch I was going to say is move from the city to where it's pretty.
Nice.
stuff like
There you
that.
go.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I've got a couple catches that I want to put on some t-shirts. And
Cool. So there was another question that I didn't want to skip, and this is from Matt from Wannabe. He did it a little when they said about the when Lamb Jam asked about the 20 acres. Matt from Wannabe said, "Does anyone else cut and let branches or smaller trees lay when clearing?"
yeah, yeah, and I was mentioning to Ted earlier. I don't know if he was on at the time we mentioned it, but Ted said him and his family and friends went out to their camp and cut down a bunch of limbs. They were pruning apple trees. And I said, he actually was making deer food right now by dropping those limbs down. Deer browse on all those fresh, tender tips and regrowth that are in the trees. And so when you drop a tree down, and you're cleaning up those limbs, leave a couple for the deer or whatever, and make sure when you pile this stuff up that you're not blocking deer access. We did a video a couple years back, and we cleared a bunch of property so that we could expand our plot. So we took a skid steer and just knocked over a bunch of trees. Well, a lot of people were like, well, why did you take them all off of there, off the plot? And, why did you put them all in one big pile somewhere? And I said, well, because if we would have just bulldozed them up against the woods, then you would have blocked all their trails that they were coming out of the woods into the food plot. So you got to watch you don't block their access either,
For sure. Cool. And
Or,
Phil
or
from
you,
Peterson's.
mm-hmm. What you
He
got?
said the deer are out feeding big time this evening with the snow melting and the sun shining, and I figured that. So I'm
Yeah.
expecting a lot of pictures on the camera. Like I said, it was cool this morning. They were hung up from the storm, so they're going to be moving this week. It'll be good, and tonight it's steadied up. It's stabilized, so they're out moving now. So Deer Corner's in here. What's up?
Yeah, Deer Corner's in. He come into my live yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. Danimal says the 120 acres we hunt has half is alfalfa field, rest is woods. So we're lucky on that part. For sure.
yeah,
Yeah, alfalfa is a good food source for sure.
heck yeah.
For
Yeah, you
sure, for
got
sure.
it covered.
So yeah, I also work. I'm gonna give this is a interruption in the program here to give a little shout out to my affiliates and sponsor and partners. I shouldn't say sponsors, gonna lie. Sponsored. I have affiliates and partners. I want to give a shout out to Fishoholic, FishAngler, Yolatech, Angler Tungsten, Placino, Rubline Sense, Domain Outdoors LLC. That's the seed company. Winsent and Elimina Shield. So thank you guys for partnering up with myself. And I look forward to this year with you guys being on the team and everything. Got the Elimina Shield hats here. Chris is also affiliated with Elimina Shield. And I'm working on a deal with that camera, that review that I did with Cam Park. So we're working on a deal right now to maybe get something going as a partner with them. So good things coming this year for my channel. Got a lot of things in mind. So I just wanted to give a shout out to them guys. I won't bore you with any more of that, but I wanted to mention all them, and they're all in the description of my video. So go over, check it out. I have some share codes with some companies and everything like that. So for sure,
Yeah,
go check that
yeah.
out.
I'm the hat guy for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Who's that wannabe or
Yeah.
want to hunt said Chris is the hat guy for sure, man.
Yes.
Got to cover
Nice.
that bald head somehow, man.
Hey, that light's shining off of there. I gotta
Yeah,
watch that light.
that's
Watch
that's
that light.
34 years of helmet head from welding.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
For sure. Yeah, and Adam said Camp Park is a great place. Yeah, Camp Park's a good company, and I guess he named his camera. I think it was Rubline or whatever, and he had that nice buck on there. I saw a post on that a couple days ago, or maybe last week. He did with that. So Adam's another. He's affiliated, I believe, with Camp Park and also Rubline Sense as well on the pro staff. So, but yeah, let's get back into the. I'm trying to think of what else that we did. Well, we put the feeders out on our property in the center of our property. We put some protein blocks out, and in Ohio we are doing. Yeah, no problem, Dan. Thanks for coming in. Uh, we're trying to give them the deer a little help after the season because you guys know as well as I do. There's not much out there but woody browse right now. So adding the protein and the minerals right now, we're adding a lot of minerals into the mix this year until hunting season, and then we'll start getting back into the food. Hinge cutting, yeah, yeah. The hinge cutting. The only thing you got to be careful of is this morning it was like 21 degrees out, below freezing, you really don't want to hinge cut when it's below freezing and them trees are frozen and you cut them because that can kill them a lot easier. Your chances of killing a tree hinge cutting them in freezing weather is definitely a risk to take. So I would wait till it's above 32, it's not freezing out, to do your hinge cutting for sure. We've always done that too. When we hinge cut, we want to make sure. And also, don't hinge cut them so they fall themselves. Use a pull stick and cut them only so far. And if you got to work at it to try to pull them down, you keep more of that trunk together and you split half of that tree instead of three-quarters of it, and then that tree will end up dying. We made the mistake before, Chris, of cutting too much and that tree just breaks off and it's wasted. So
Yeah.
we try to use the pull stick and have somebody cut and we pull. And sometimes we get two or three guys on that tree to
Right.
pull it. That way you have the meat of that tree breaks. If you can break it with three-quarters of a way out, and that tree got a better chance of living and definitely above freezing for sure. I wouldn't recommend hinge cutting in freezing weather at all.
Yeah.
What do you say about that?
I am not a big advocate of hinge cutting.
Mm-hmm.
Just my personal preference. Now, when me and Dave were working together on that property, we used to have that lease. We did a ton of hinge cutting. I just hate it. I hate cutting down trees unless I'm letting sunlight into plots or whatever. But it's just.
And Matt said, "How tall a tree are we pulling down, Hercules?"
Yeah,
Some pretty big trees. If you get it right, you cut it right, you can pull them over with the pull stick for sure. Especially if you get one or two guys on it. Sometimes three pulling on that to get it to break over. But you'd be surprised at how thick you can get. But Chris is not a big hinge cutting guy.
No, I'm not. I'm not that big on it. I mean, when I did it, if you find me hinge cutting, I'm probably making a corridor for deer to walk on.
You're trying to get the deer to move.
I'm cutting them opposite directions and making a corridor for them to walk through.
Yeah.
I'm not. Like I said, I mostly hunt public land, and I don't own that much of my own private land here at my house. I don't have a big parcel of land to be cutting, but I do cut trees. And when I cut trees here, I'm cutting them because I've noticed, hey, this tree's getting in the way of my sunlight to my plots. I got to take it out. If it's not marketable value or something, or it's crooked or whatever, I cut that sucker all the way down.
And thanks, Phil. I appreciate that. Sorry to interrupt.
Use it for firewood.
Yeah, and it stinks when we're hinge cutting and you see that tree break over. You're like, So you got to be very careful. You got to, and also like Chris was saying, when we're dropping trees, like we have a field up on top of the hill, you don't want to drop them horizontal and block that path. Like Chris was saying when he pushed the all the debris against the edge of the field, you want to lay those trees down so the deer will walk through them and they'll feel safe in there. You want to guide them. You could actually make the highways, and like I always, my last live, you're the highway. It's like your life. Like you go to work every day the same way, so you want to guide them. And that's like your highway, like 79, Chris, you're driving. And then you have your exits to get to your food plot. So you want main trails. You want to cut off secondary paths to go in and out of there that you can hunt. So definitely, hey, Jody, thanks for coming in. You want to definitely set that.
Or you could strategically drop them in areas where you don't want them to go. And you can steer them the way you want them to go.
For sure.
Or you could stack up enough of it in an area, push them all up in an area that you could make a screen and potentially walk into an area undetected to get to a stand. I mean, there's lots of ways you can strategically do things, and people just don't think of things sometimes. And they're just like, cut that tree down, get it out of here. Well, you could be using it to your advantage.
For sure. And now Peterson's, I wanted to just say this comment real quick. Phil from Peterson's Farm said, it was great to see you passing on your passion of the outdoors to your son, Ted. He gave the likes, hit the like button, and then it says our kids and others that don't have outdoor families are the future. Yeah, that's definitely what I try to do. Is I try to pass it on to my son and get him involved with everything. My daughter, she's at that point where she'll go fishing with me and hang out, but she's doing her own thing right now. She's 14 and she's she's independent right now, but we'll see what happens with her. And she likes to, hang out with me and do certain things, but the hunting thing just ain't her thing right now. So I'm, I gave it to her. I don't want to pressure her. She's doing her thing, but she likes the outdoors and fishing and things like that. So yeah, Theo, I'm trying to mold him and show him how we do things. Like this weekend, I gave him the little 4-inch Saker saw that I did a review on. Charged the battery up, gave it to him, and I was showing him how to cut, and showing him where to place his body and don't put your face over it and cut, like all those little things that matter so you don't get hurt. And he was into it. He told me, he said, Dad, I like going down there and cutting those trees down. So that's good to hear. And yeah, like I said, we got to get the kids out there. We got to pass that on. Hey Ted, you mentioned Yolatech. They are a great company, and I really enjoy using their cameras, accessories, and recently bought their graph boat mine. Yeah, their graph boat mine looks pretty solid there, Lamb Jam, for sure. And Yolatech is a great company. Christian over at Yolatech, I just talked to him the other day because I did the Navlight review. He wanted me to put it on Amazon, so I put it up on Amazon for him for that. So yeah, Yolatech is a great company. Go check Yolatech out if you haven't already. If you're a fisherman, they definitely have some great mounts and some self-videoing mounts and things like that for your boat. So yeah, great company. And I wanted to thank Jody for stopping in here, and I appreciate her. Always leave the exit. Yeah, always leave the exits. And when you're dropping trees, you don't want to make sure you cover up your own entrance and exit paths either. You got to think of all that when you're cutting them. So you can get in there undetected. And watch how close you're doing it to your tree stands. You drop trees around your tree stand and you make a big brush, basically a big brush pile by your tree stand. How are you going to get into your tree stand without being detected if they're bedding in those brush? And I'm good. You make it too nice around your area, you're going to be busting deer out of there when you're going into your stand or exiting your stand. So be careful how far away you're doing that from your tree stands as well. Now this is Glenn. What's up, Glenn? Thanks for coming in. He said, well, can you see the chat, Chris? Because I don't even know if you can see the chat.
I can see it, but I only get like 2 at a time.
I got like
the 2
4
newest ones.
Okay, because this is, like I said, a new forum for us. So
yeah.
I wanted to see if you could see it. Glenn says, key I found with kids is keeping it fun and keep these standards easy to meet. Yeah. Sometimes I'll admit this, as a dad and a hunter and, getting out there and wanting to have success, sometimes I can put a little pressure on my kids to, catch the big one or be focused on it. And sometimes I don't want to say I always try to have fun. So I'm not saying that, but sometimes I get really into it and I do put a little bit of pressure on them. But that's why we have the food plots down camp too. So my son can see the deer and, there's always action. And like I said, in my last live, shooting deer out of a food plot, that could be a big no-no as well. But my son loves seeing the deer in the food plots, and if he wants to shoot a deer out of the food plot, I'll take that chance and let him do it so he has his success himself, so he's hooked. You know what I mean, Chris?
Yeah. I had the unfortunate instance that just about the time my boy was being able to hunt, I took him out at the age of like 8, 9, and 10, and he was able to harvest a couple of deer, and that was exciting for him. And then he got diagnosed with Crohn's real bad, and he just turned 18, so for the last 6 years, he hasn't been able to go out and do that stuff with me. So yeah. I'm back to solo hunting again, and you miss your hunting buddy.
Yeah,
it was fun. It was fun grooming him and taking him out and teaching him stuff, and I'm hoping that the passion didn't die in him. I'm hoping that he wants to get back out there because he's a lot better now than he was. So.
That's awesome. And I'm sure he'll get better and he'll be back out with his dad doing what they love.
We can get him out. I hope he still has it in him.
For sure. I'm sure he does. You raised him right, so I'm sure he'll be back into it.
I hope he loves the fish. If not, we'll be in the canoe.
Yeah, and you know what you're saying. You know what I'm saying. Hey, Scotty Flaker, thanks for coming in. It says, what are your thoughts on pampas grass for screening, perennial tall grass? Let me go with Glenn. I understand what you're saying about that, Glenn. It's tough to not be hard on them, but you still want it enjoyable. And then let's get back to Scotty Flaker. I'm sorry if I pronounce Flaker. Switchgrass. I don't know about pampas grass. I've never heard of pampas grass for screening. I guess you could, but I've heard of switchgrass for screening and bedding and things like that. What are your thoughts on perennial tall grasses and pampas grass, Chris?
Well, I know what he means by pampas grass and zebra grass and stuff like that.
I have
And
it around my house.
I think you can make it work if you have enough of it bunched up that it grows out and it's touching each other. You know what I'm saying? It
Yeah.
makes like a hedgerow. I think it would be fine because I've actually thought about that myself if I could find enough of it. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
he said
ornamental.
Oriental.
Yeah, it's ornamental grass and things. Yeah, definitely. I think you can make it work. Um, what was the?
Well, I know the pampas grass that I have in my yard, Chris. You could split that 4 ways and just keep making it. So I guess you
Yeah,
could
I think
start it out and
you can
split it,
split.
but keep
Yeah,
moving it, and keep moving it
yeah.
so it
You
keeps
have to.
growing.
Yep, you have to keep proportioning it out and move it
Yeah,
out.
yeah,
Yep.
you could probably
Yeah,
do that. But
you could definitely make it work. It just would take time.
yeah, growing from seed this year. Okay, so Scotty's growing it from seedlings this year. So if you've got a bunch of it,
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't put it out there, Chris, when it's too young because I think it'll either get eaten or just get killed from snow crushing it. So I would let it
Yeah.
get I'd let it get a couple feet tall or a
Oh,
foot or two tall, and then
I
before
would
you plant
definitely
it.
wait till June or July. That type of stuff loves the heat.
Yeah, yeah. So that's
So
what I would
wait
do.
till the
I would
soil
plant it
temperatures are above 50.
for sure, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. All
Hey,
right, and
you were saying did you get to pull any soil samples yet?
I didn't know everything was frozen this weekend. Chris. It was covered in 6 inches of snow, so we didn't make the soil samples yet. So, uh, since you mentioned that, Chris, why don't you go into your what you did this past couple weeks here?
Okay, I know you can hear me, but can you see me? I froze up.
It seemed like it froze up, so I don't
Yeah.
know. You might on this forum. I would have no idea, but maybe if you go out and come back in.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Okay.
You'd probably lose me anyhow. Or I
Yeah.
would probably lose you.
Yeah. I don't know. You are frozen up though, Chris, for some
Okay.
reason.
You want
But
me
I
to
can
go
hear
out?
you.
I'll try to go out. Let's see.
Yeah, go out
I'll
and
be,
use the link and come back in.
yep,
And
be
then
right
that'll
there.
give me and then I'll mention my website to everybody while they're on here too while you're doing that. Um my website's offthehookoutdoors.us. Go over there, check that out. That's I sell my baits. I do make my own baits, soft plastic, so go check that out. I also wanted to thank my sponsors, my sponsor packages for this month, and that is Jason from JJ Drones, Carl from Chillin in Indiana, Dan from the Droning Veteran, and Rick from Big Tiny's Outdoors. So they all purchased the sponsor package off of me for this month. So they are doing that. What's going on, Mr. Freeze? Hi, Yed. Hi, Yed. Okay, let me see. Chris is coming back in. Okay, let's see. There you go.
Okay. I'm moving. I'm live. Okay, I'm good. I'm
Okay,
good.
yep, you're good. You're good. DC, Dan's in here. Big Tiny's in here.
Oh,
Uh, Ted, did you see my Valley question? Let me scroll down here, Chris. If you want to say
oh,
something, go ahead.
I did see his question earlier. He talked about if you had a small.
I'd be at the I'd be at the top. I'd be at the tall. I would not go down in the valley because your wind is going to be so unpredictable down there. I would
I like
probably
side.
go. I would go up on the hill, go up high, find a good path below there, and hunt it high, looking down on it, and then also
Yep.
face the dominant wind in that area because that valley you're going to have swirling winds. You want to get up there where there's a steady wind that you know which way your wind's blowing. And even that when you're on a ridge side of a hill, I hunt side of a hill in Ohio, and there's times where I do my wind checker and it'll blow around my head and go this way, or it'll blow around and go that way. So it's very hard hunting those ridges. If you can get up top on the flat where it's a steady wind, I would recommend that. But if you have to hunt the hill and you like to hunt the hillsides, make sure you're above the deer's movement. That's what I would do.
Yeah, I like but at the very just below
Yeah.
and side hill that, and that's where I would be. That's
Yeah.
how I like to hunt.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
anyhow, yeah. Um, well, I guess it was 2 weeks ago. I went ahead and pulled soil samples,
Be on the hook.
and
What's up?
I went ahead and pulled them, and I got them sent out on the 9th. They received them on the 12th, and yesterday I got them back already. And
Nice.
I use Penn State Extension. They're $10 per. So what you do if you're not familiar with it, you go out and you dig a couple test holes, put the dirt in a bucket, stir it all up. They give you a baggie. You fill the baggie up past the line that's on the baggie, and you mail that into Penn State, and they will print you out an analysis like this. And let me just start off by saying that your soil sample not very expensive, and actually it is going to end up being cheaper than a bag of fertilizer. So where I'm going with this is, if you do not do soil tests and you think, oh, well, I'm not taking a test, so I'm just going to add 300 pounds of triple 19 or something, well, what if you don't need that? These bags of fertilizer right now are like $20 a bag. So you buy 300 pounds of it, that's 6 bags of fertilizer at $20. So you just blew all that money when you could only pay $20 for a soil test, and it's cheap insurance for your plot. So anyhow, getting back to these, now a couple years ago, I had a lime truck come all the way in from Bellefonte loaded with 16 ton and spread for the amount of money that I paid, and it was cheap. It was like $650. Now a pallet of Pell lime for 1 ton would cost you like $250 right now.
Yeah.
So it was
Go ahead, Lamb Jam. You're more than welcome to post links.
Sorry. Yeah, way cheaper for them to come in with the truck and spread it, and it's better quality stuff. It's really, really, ag lime is the real way to fix your plots. Pell lime's temporary fix.
That's what we use a lot of Pell lime because it's easier for us because we can't get trucks up there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, if a lot of people operate like that, that's how I operated before I had the truck in.
Yeah.
I would just get pallets and pallets of lime and end up spreading it, and
how much do you pay? Like, if you could let the people know, how much is it per ton for ag lime to become shipped in on a truck?
Well, ag lime is not real expensive. It really isn't. I don't know the current prices, but like I said, I had 16 ton driven 100 miles to me and spread with their truck. It cost me $650.
Okay.
For 16 ton. Now,
like
I said, 1 ton of Pell lime right now would cost you between $225 and $250.
Yeah.
And then you got to handle it all.
Yeah.
And that's very, very laborsome. Yeah. But I do have a 4-wheeler with a hopper on the back that can spin it out, and it holds about 100 pounds at a time. So, I mean, it'll take you a couple hours, but you can. You really can. Yeah. And for the average guy, you can go to the Tractor Supply or something and buy one of those over-the-shoulder spreader bags. I can't remember what the name of it is right now. But anyhow, well, there's lots of different brands out there. But you can get a spreader bag. You can just go get one of those little ones. Hold like a pound of seed. And you can put your seed out like that too if you got all the time in the world. But
and we do everything by basically hand. We just ordered that disc, so we got the disc coming. But we do a lot of this stuff by hand. I have a quad spreader, which is really, really tough. You froze up again, Chris. I don't know if you could hear me.
Oh yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you perfect.
I'm just going to stay on because it's probably my internet.
Okay, that's fine.
I can't control it because I'm out in those sticks.
Well, that's all right. We have a nice picture of you smiling right now, so that's a good picture to leave up.
Good thing.
Yeah. Before it looked like you had your tongue sticking out, so that wasn't a good picture. But this one at least looks a little better than the other one.
At least I didn't have my finger up my nose.
Yeah. So, Lamb Jim, you could share your link. I didn't see it shared in here. It just says that's my affiliate link for Tractor Supply. So you're gonna probably want to share that again. And Matt from Wannabe Outdoors says, what if people don't have the equipment for plots? What do you suggest one does for plots or maintaining a good food source?
Okay. I mean, you can get down and dirty with a hand rake. I mean, that's how I started out. I didn't have a 4-wheeler and stuff when I first moved here because I built a house and I blew my load building a house. So, I didn't have any toys back then to play with. So I went down in my woods, cut a bunch of trees down, made some sunlight.
Now, Matt.
Made some sunlight down there, and I got the hand rake out, and I raked everything off, all the debris, leaves, pine needles, anything on top. Got it down to bare dirt, and then you could literally go out and buy a jug of seed or a bag of seed, and you could throw it out by hand even if you'd like.
Yeah. Hey, Firebird, thanks for
or
coming in, buddy. It has been a
or
minute.
you
Thanks for stopping
or
in.
you can get a over the shoulder spreader. I mean, there's lots of ways to get it done if you have no equipment.
My dad used to
The
use a
main,
hand rototiller, gas-powered hand rototiller. He'd walk it up to the field and sit up there all day and hand till the field.
I've done that before too. I
Yeah, that ain't
have.
working. That ain't. I was like, nah, we're good on that one. We're gonna get something, and we got big.
Yeah.
Luckily, we got a big rototiller for the back of our Kubota, and that made it a lot
Mhm.
easier. But you do put a lot of
Oh
wear and tear on your Kubota with the rototiller, so that's why we
yeah.
went with
Right.
the disc this year because we're planting small seed. You don't need the rototill everything, and you don't want to rototill everything all the time because you're breaking that crust, and everything just goes through like a sieve. So we're going to be
Yep.
disking a lot more. But if we're opening up new plots, that's where we're going with the rototiller, then come over and disc it to thin it out. But yeah, that's what we
Right.
do down ours now.
Okay. So I started doing these soil samples years ago, and the what you do this year is gonna help you in the future.
Mm-hmm.
So everything you do in the future, it'll just get a little better. Now
Yep.
you might, like I said, you might have to add a little lime here and there, but eventually, through using, I like to put the lime on, get the lime correct according to the sample, and then do the recommendations of fertilizer at planting, and then plant it. You want that fertilizer next to the seed so
Yep.
that it's coming, it gives it all the great potential to get out of the dirt. So then if you're going to do spring and fall plots, like you put something in the spring that you can till in, like you said, you guys just got your disc, you can till that all in and get ready for fall. So that's
Yeah.
all that green manure and everything's breaking down naturally and feeding that next crop that you're going to plant.
You're actually
And then I
making
get
better soil content. You're actually making a better soil, a grade of soil by disking all that back in and making like a basically you're
for
doing like a
sure.
mulch. You know.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yep, and it's feeding your next plot.
Mm-hmm.
So you get that all in, and then think about, like I said, I just said, what you do now is going to help you next year. So what you got to do too, don't forget about spring. So
Yeah.
when you're doing the fall plot, add something in that's going to green up first in the spring. So add in a little clover, add in a little winter wheat or winter rye, a triticale or something like that. Something that's going to pop back up as soon as the temperatures get around 37 degrees or something like that.
Yeah.
Around that area. And when the sun comes out and the snow's melting off, it'll start greening up, and my big motto is plant for 365. I want something
Yeah.
green and growing all year round.
Yeah.
That keeps them in the area.
Yeah. For
So,
sure. No, we
but
had
yeah,
Matt real quick saying about what do you do with a leaf rake. That's what he used to do, and he rented a tiller. He said bad
yeah,
thing of where I live is there's a lot of rocks. Believe me, I have a lot of
for
rocks too.
sure.
We go up every year, everything comes to the surface, and we load up the Kubota bucket with a bunch of rocks, and we take them down to the pond and put them near the outflow. But there's a ton of them. But what Glenn said was, Matt, try pruning and mowing the area, then apply lime and fertilizer to the natural browse. Deer will eat the fertilized browse over non-fertilized if you can't do plots. That's a pretty good idea too that Glenn came up with
Yeah,
if you don't have the means to do a plot.
yeah. We used to use a mineral based micronutrient
Hey
spray
Tina.
that I used to be partnered with, and we did tests with it, and we used to spray multiflora rose with it. And the deer, we came back the next day after I sprayed this big bush, and there was actually a doe bedded underneath the multiflora rose bush, and she had eaten everything that we had sprayed. So I
Yeah,
mean, he's got a great point that he made there. I mean, it definitely works.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah,
I
if you
I
can't
like that
plant a
idea.
plot, yeah, if you can't plant a plot, use what you have, and that
Yeah,
is natural browse. And if you don't have any natural browse, obviously you need to clear some more trees and get some sunlight down too, so
for
that
sure.
something can grow.
And that's what we're
So,
doing with the apples. We have it there, but we haven't really paid much to that until we started doing plots. And then we seen a lot of pressure on our plots. And we came up with the idea of let's utilize the raspberry bushes, the mulberry bushes, stuff like that.
yep,
Fertilize those plants to help them grow more so that deer and animals can eat that. And then let's go. We have the tonnage, and that's the big thing. For deer is the tonnage. An average deer a year is like 6.5 to 7.5 tons per deer. So you got to have tonnage on your land to support your deer herd. If you don't, you got to take those off your land. You got to see you got to know your herd. But when you have small plots, you really can't do that because they're moving in and out of there. So you don't know how many deer you're going to have. So you just got to have the most tonnage that you can come up with. And that's why we take these apples, and we're trying to fertilize them and get them to produce the tonnage to take some of the pressure off of our food plots. Hey,
Yeah.
Chris. Hey, Chris, what's up? I had to hide Angel. Yeah, I had Angel. That was a bot or a troller came in and had some nice comments that I had to delete her message. Yeah, some nice comments that we're making. Hey, Tina, thanks for coming in. Appreciate you. So yeah, Glenn has some great ideas too, guys. If you haven't checked out, obviously go over and check out Chris's channel, City Sticker Chris, and then also go over to that Raised Outdoors Glenn over there. He's an avid hunter. He goes out. He has a great channel with some great content. So they definitely make sure you're checking out those two channels if you haven't picked them up yet.
Yeah, I would encourage guys to if they subscribe to me, check out the Sunday podcasts at 5 p.m. every week.
Awesome. Yeah, it's a good thing. We do that with Dave from over at Whitetail Obsession Outdoors. That's another great channel. Go over. He does a lot of land management over there too. Get some ideas off of him.
Yeah, Dave and I do a podcast every week at 5. We do some interesting subjects. You can even comment in and suggest a topic for us to talk about. Like this week, we did CWD.
Yeah.
It was our take on it. We're not experts at it, but he actually lives in Maryland, so he's been dealing with that.
Yeah.
CWD for like 15, 20 years down there. But I mean, we don't disprove anything or call anybody dumb or we just go over what we know or what we think about it. So I think this podcast that we did just came out at 5 p.m. here a couple hours ago. I think that's going to be a good one.
Yeah,
I think people are going to like it.
Yeah, and another great point is, and we do this down at our place because we don't plant all year down our place, Chris, because we're on a budget down there. So we don't have. We figured it out, and we were okay with there's enough browse and food to keep them there through the summer and maintain them, and we are fall plots, basically hunting, and I'm more concerned about getting the deer after the season and keeping it green and stuff like that. So when we create food plots, we till it first and then we plant the rye and then we till the rye in, to get to sort of help that soil. But Glenn made a great point, like the plots that we let grow throughout the summer, we do keep mowed. We keep them down, you know what I mean? You keep it as low as possible. So when we go in there, because we haven't sprayed our plots at all the last 4 or 5 years, we've just cut them low, tilled it in, and then planted over top of that. But this year we're going to get the iMox that you suggested, and I really like. We're going to use the iMox on the boom sprayers, and we're going to keep our plots cut down this year, maintain our plots that we have. Now there's going to be grass and weeds growing in it, but we're going to keep it low so it don't get out of hand. And that's what you have to do, like Glenn said. Keep it low so it's maintainable. So when you're ready to plant your food plot, you're not using overabundance of weed killer and working harder. So keep it low throughout the year, and then go in or spray it, till it, or disc it, plant it, and then fertilize, lime, whatever you have to do to it. But Chris, you needed how did your plots turn out this year with your soil? Did you need a lot of lime, a lot of fertilizer? How did it work out for you?
Yeah, I guess I didn't mention that. No, my plots actually, I've been working on a couple of pieces of property here, and year after year, they just get better and better and better. And I've had 4 tests that I pulled, 4 different locations, and not one of them needed lime. My lowest pH was at a 6.8, and my highest was a 7.1. So definitely spot on for everything. Even if I wanted to grow alfalfa, it's spot on.
Nice. And that's what you were talking about before, Chris. Sorry to interrupt you, but now if somebody that don't get a soil sample, like I'll explain what I'm going to be doing this year, and we're probably going to do the soil sample too, just like you. But if somebody isn't doing that, then they go out and buy a pallet of lime that they spent $200 on, come in and throw it in there. They didn't need that this year, so that's $200 that they
Right.
could have put somewhere else, like
Yep.
you were saying earlier in the podcast here. So
Yep.
it's like,
It could have been a huge waste of money.
mm-hmm,
And on the flip side of all that, let me just mention this. Let me go to the opposite end of the spectrum.
mm-hmm.
You could do these tests, and if your pH of your property is down in the fives, there's been
But
studies done. There's been studies done that people that have, if their pH is down around a
hey, Ken.
5.5 or lower,
Yep, thanks for coming in.
less than 50% of the fertilizer that they put down is going to be usable.
So you just got to buy more fertilizer, right, Chris?
Exactly, and that's why these people love you, because you're not spending your $20 and you're being cheap. So
Yep.
just do the test. If you're down around that 5.5, you're throwing 50% of your fertilizer away. You might as well just burn half the money you spent.
Yeah, and like Chris is saying, that pH is the biggest thing, because when your pH is at a certain level, no matter how much fertilizer you're putting on there, your plants can only use that much. So if it's only using 50% of your fertilizer, one bag, half of that bag is wasted. So that's half your
Yep.
money. So if a bag is $20, you're losing $10 by throwing that fertilizer because your pH level isn't correct. That's why the soil samples are such a big, it's so important to you, just to save money in itself,
Yep.
for
I
sure.
mean, that's one of the things with my channel and Dave's channel is we try to help people with their food plots, and
Yep.
a lot of it's monetarily based. We try to help people save the money.
Yep.
Do it smart. I mean, there is a couple little things here and there. It's a learning curve. You got to know a couple tricks, but that's what we try to teach people, educate them on. That way they're going to save money and not waste their time. Let our mistakes and learning from our failures, help you be successful.
For sure,
And
for sure. And we don't know everything, Chris, about, food plotting and stuff like that. We're still learning, and that's why these
Yep.
lives and things like that are a great resource for us and for the people that are in here talking about it. Like, I learn from people every day on here. You know what I mean? Like, you get the tips and tricks from somebody else that you never thought of, and you can throw ideas back and forth and make it work for each other. That's why these lives, I love getting a bunch of people together and talking about the topic, because a lot of people can learn, and I certainly learn from it.
Yeah. I mean, it's good. It's good for sure.
Yeah.
And like my pH came back good, and my fertilization came back good. I literally, for almost 5 acres of property,
Yeah.
I need, and this is sickening, I need 3 bags of fertilizer.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Yeah,
That's it.
yeah, that's
That is
pretty awesome.
it. So I'm spending like next to nothing this year on my plots, but in years past, I put as much as like $1,000. Don't tell my wife. I spent as much of $1,000 on my plots.
And when you're on a budget like our club, we're on a budget. We only have so much money a year that we can spend on that, which would help so much. And then you could roll that over to next year, and just, you're with me with our funds. We do things every month to have funds for our deer management program separately from our club bills and things like that. So if you can do that soil testing, you can save a couple $100 a year. Man, does that creates more openings for other things, you know what I mean, or more equipment and things like that. And that's definitely where you want to be at, to save that money. And let's see, if you treat food plots like crops, rotating what's planted and using cheap mulch tilled in can greatly reduce costs on lime and fertilizer, for sure, Glenn. Now, Chris is talking about the soil samples and sending it. Now, I'm gonna go a little bit, and I don't want to say backwards on what Chris is saying. Definitely, the soil samples are the way to go. Send them in, get your soil samples. But if by chance it's late in the season, you didn't get a chance to do it, you got to get your stuff in. You want to get it planted. You didn't have time to send your soil samples out. This X-Lux kit right here is a pH test kit, and I'm going to show you what's in here. You have your little droppers here. It comes with these little test tubes, and then it comes with the pH, and these are little dipsticks, okay? And what you do is you just go and what I do is you take like in a nickel, 2 and 1, like if you look at a dice, you're splitting your food plot up like a number 5 on the dice there. You get one from the middle, 2 from each end. You put it in a bucket, mix it all in. You take out all the rocks, all the grass, any imperfections, just dirt only. Then you put them into this test tube. You fill it with the water. You shake it up. You let it sit there for an hour. Okay, then you take, because that way all the dirt and everything settles. You just have the liquid up top. You take one of these.
Mention too, it needs to be distilled water.
Yes, you don't want to do like chlorine and all that. You want to have distilled water. Okay, then on here you can see all the colors of your pH, and there is different numbers on here. Also, you have your 4.5s, 5.0s, all the way up to 9.0. So there's your color code. So once you do the dipstick into the water, then you pull it out and you match it with the color on your test kit here, and you see where your pH is, and then you can go off of that and say, okay, I need lime or whatever. But that's just this is better than not doing it at all when you're in a pinch.
Correct.
But definitely, I don't want to promote you not doing the soil samples, because that's the way to do it. And a rule of thumb for everybody, that if you can think of this, you're looking at a 32 by 32 plot, 32 feet by 32 feet. One bag of 40-pound pelletized lime will basically raise that area about a point. That's not exact. That's just a rule of thumb. It changes everywhere by what your soil is. But if you go 32 by 32 and you have one 40-pound bag of pelletized lime, you can raise your pH level 1 point by that. So if you're in a bind and you're late and you want to plan it, at least do this test. And then you sort of can get it in the area. You're not going to be perfect, but if you look at your pH balance and then you go off of the 32 feet by 32 feet, then you could put a bag of pelletized lime, 140-pound bag, and it should raise it a point. So every bag will raise that a point. So
we would, on a bigger scale, we would tell people that 1 ton over an acre would change you 1 point.
And that's exactly, and I'm just talking about like smaller food plots.
Yeah, like a shot
just to
plot,
bring it in perspective with people that might have shot plots. 32 by 32 is one bag of 40-pound pelletized lime will raise your pH 1 point. So if you need to raise it 2.5 points, you put 3 bags of lime in there in the 32 by 32. Then you do all your formulas. You divide it by however big you got it, and then you make your lime out that way and go buy your lime and throw it in. But it's not perfect, but it definitely will help you that way if than not doing it. But don't
it's cheap insurance, man. Cheap insurance. It's not, you're wasting your time. You're wasting your time and money.
This kit I'll have in the description here. I'll put it up in the featured. Chris, if you have any information that you can send me for the Penn State thing, that I'll put in the description of this live here, and we'll let the people that are in here, they can look at the Penn State extension, and they can also they can purchase this kit too also. So I'll put that in here whenever I'm doing the description of this live. So if you can send me like the website or something for that, or I can even look it up. But if you have the link, send it to me and I'll put it in the description.
Yeah, I've got a link and an email address here.
Okay. Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah, let's put it in. OtterCat raised got to go. It's too expensive not to. Yeah, got to. It's too expensive. Yeah, you're right, Otter, for sure. And then we have hunting and stuffs in here with J&J. Thanks for stopping in. I appreciate that.
Yep.
But yeah, for sure, that is the way to go. And like I said, this isn't your permanent fix. This is just to get you through if you're late. And believe me, we've been late before. We've been into August and we haven't planted yet because of time.
Better than nothing.
Yeah, and we've we planted middle of August, which you're losing almost 60 days of prime grow time, and we haven't put it in yet. And we're like scrounging for what do we do? So this kit definitely will help you at least for that year if you're behind. But definitely, and I'm 100% into getting the soil samples done, just like Chris. Get the soil samples. Hopefully you don't need nothing. But if you do, you're not wasting your fertilizer with a bad pH. And your money goes right down the tubes. It's not going to, no matter how much fertilizer you put on your plot, you think it's better. It's not. You're wasting the fertilizer. So pH test, big thing to do.
Correct.
Yeah, for sure.
One of the other things, and I don't want to get too deep with this, but
no, go ahead.
On the tests, there's a section called CEC. That's your cation exchange.
Okay.
Cation exchange is kind of, you think of it almost like you think of it almost like a sponge. What a sponge can hold, like moisture wise, and your soil's the same. And the cation exchange is a percentage that they give you, and the higher the number, the better. So if you have a low cation exchange, that's you can only put so much fertilizer on at one point in time, or it's wasted also. So you need to pay attention to that. And a way to figure out how much you can hold, like a sponge, is to take that number they gave you for CEC roughly and multiply it roughly by 10. And that'll give you the how many hundreds of pounds you could hold per acre. How many hundreds of pounds of fertilizer per acre you could put on at one point in time. So
Yeah.
like if it tells you need 400 pounds of fertilizer per acre and your CEC's at like 2,
Yeah, it ain't gonna work. It ain't
you're
gonna do
you're
nothing.
not going to be able to put all that fertilizer on at one time. You're going to need a split application.
Yeah.
And I know, like I said, that's going to go over some people's heads, but
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't understand it, you want to understand it, subscribe, comment, ask me some questions. We can explain it further. But for some of the people on here, it seems like some of them do understand. I see some
Yeah.
good comments going
Yeah.
down there.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's a good tip to watch your CEC and make
Mhm.
sure that your soil can even handle all the fertilizer that might be recommended to you. Especially that guy earlier that said that he had that piece of property and it's never had anything done to it.
Yeah, that was lamb jam. Yeah.
Yeah, his pH is probably really low, and the CEC would obviously be low.
Yeah. That'd be
So
said, my cousin.
it's like the holding capacity of your soil. So,
Yeah, and Glenn, well, Matt says, and this is from Wannabe Outdoors. So lime is good, no lime is bad. Well, if you need the lime is and I want to say it's a helper for your soil. And what the
it
lime
helps.
does is it makes your soil accept the nutrients from your fertilizer. So if you need lime, you have to add it so you don't waste your fertilizer and your plants will grow better. It helps your plants absorb the nutrients, correct, Chris? It
Correct.
helps the plants. So your lime is a sweetener. There's acidic, there's alkaline soils. Different plants need different things. So and it also depends on what you're planting. The lime, like in domain seed, that's why I like domain seed so much, is they tell you right there, okay, this plant is good for 5.5 to 7.0 in the pH factor. So when you do your test, if you fall within that range, you're okay to plant that without putting your lime in. Now,
Yes.
if it's lower than that, then you have to add the lime so your plants will grow and it can accept the nutrients that are in your soil that you have existing. And if you don't do that, you're throwing your money away. You might as well just throw 20s out on the ground and let it go.
Yeah, and the other thing to add to that, Ted, is you'll buy a buck on a bag seed from Dunham's or Dick's or someplace like that, and
Yeah.
it says on the package, this clover has 30% protein. Well, guess what? If your soil test isn't spot on, you're not going to be optimal, which
No.
means your clover's never going to reach 30%.
No, it might be
only get to
7.
15, 20.
Yes, because it's not growing to its full potential. So there's a
Yeah,
lot of factors. It's really a scientific, I know, I'm not that technical with things, but since I started doing this deer management program down camp, we got into that and really, and Josh from Whitetail Driven Solutions has been down there and he sort of steered us the right way, which I wanted to say, if you guys haven't checked out Josh from Whitetail Driven Solutions, please go over and check out his channel. He has great content as well. But you got to factor in a lot of different things, and like how Chris was saying earlier in this live here was, you got to see the future when you're planning. You got to know what you do now, how it's going to affect it down the road. And you got to make sure that your plots are, I don't want to say spot on, because I haven't been spot on in years, and I grew dwarf Essex rape like mad. And I wasn't spot on that year, but it grew great. I got lucky and it grew. I'm not saying that you have to go by each point and be exact to grow things. No, but to increase your odds and to give your plant its full potential and to not lose money, you should be doing this and getting your soil samples. Like Glenn said, he don't really do food plots that much anymore. He just, whatever he has available, he like his gas lines and pipelines and things for green food sources. And sort of that's what we're doing with our food plots down at camp.
Yeah.
Is we're not worried about the summer food plots. We're worried about the green food sources during hunting season, after hunting season, and that's why we use a lot of rye, because that stuff grows on bricks and it stays green a lot, and it'll come up in the spring. But Chris will attest to this. You got to watch it doesn't get too crazy, because then it becomes woody and it's hard to break down into your soil to create that good soil too. And it's
Yeah.
harder for you to crimp it, harder for you to get that mixed in with the soil and rot. So you got to
Yeah.
watch.
And I mean, you're going to get the guys that are going to say, well, I didn't do any soil tests, and I don't
Yeah.
even know what my soil is. And I bought this throw and grow and I put it out and it came up beautiful. Well,
Yeah.
there's a problem with that. Flip the bag over and see what the ingredient is. And
You
usually
mean
it's rye grass. It's
yes,
usually rye
grass.
grass and things like that deer aren't especially. I mean, they will eat it if they're starving, but it's
Yes.
not a real attractant for them.
Well, that's the thing, Chris, is the rye grass is green. It's going to be green, and that grows
Yeah,
anywhere. But that will ruin
yeah,
your food plot quicker than anything. Is the
yeah,
rye grass.
yeah.
But to the eye and to the person buying that,
The
yeah,
untrained eye.
yeah. Now there's a lot of inert ingredients in that stuff too. So there's a lot of weeds mixed in with that to fill it, because they don't want to they don't want to sell you a 1 pound bag of just oats. They want to sell you oats in inert matter so they can make money on that. So another thing with the seed companies is look at your inert ingredients too. Look and make sure it's more seed than inert ingredients, because you're throwing in weeds into your food plots. Now it's going to look to you green, but the
Yeah,
deer will, and like Chris said, in a dire need of food, the deer will eat the green stuff, and you're going to
yeah,
look at it after the season and be like, oh, my food plot's green, so you think it's working. Well, really,
yeah.
you just wasted that. You could have put something in there that will help the deer a lot better,
Right.
and be more nutritional for the deer. And that's our whole goal to this, is giving the deer the best you can. You know what I mean? And anybody can go out there and buy a throw and grow ingredient or a no-till and throw it out there, and it'll grow. But how good is it, the stuff that's growing in there? You know what I mean?
Yep. For a beginner or somebody that hasn't ever done it before, if
Yeah.
they had a spot that they worked the dirt and eliminated weeds, and they
Yep.
had some bare dirt to put some seed down, and first time plotter, I
Yeah.
would say go with an oat and a clover, something that's going to react quick and come up
Yeah.
fast. And
Yeah.
the oat will nurse the clover so that they don't overly indulge on that and tear it up and wipe you out. But
Browse pressure. Yeah. It
yeah,
helps
get
with the
too much
browse
brow
pressure.
pressure. But yeah, you get something like a wheat or an oat and put that over top of the clover, and you'll definitely get something coming. You
For
know.
sure. And then Explore with Drew, thank you for coming in. Ashley Brady, thank you for coming in. I appreciate that. I just like to address the chat, Chris. Sorry to interrupt you. But yeah,
No, good.
you can
But yeah,
keep.
that I mean that's a good thing to plant for some starter people. You know, they'll get some good results out
Yeah.
of clovers. Don't do a straight stand. Mix a couple clovers together, a white or red. You know, some different brands. Mix it up a little bit. Spread it out.
Yep.
Um, you know, you could do that. Some clovers, like if you have some wet ground. A lot of people ask me all the time, what can I use in some wet areas? You could definitely use clovers in those areas. Whites tend to do better there, like a Dutch white or something like that.
Yeah.
Um, you can use, people ask a lot, what can I use in shaded areas? Well, shaded areas of the woods, generally you need between 4 to 6 hours of at least filtered sunlight. You need to be able to get some filtered sunlight in there minimum. It's best though if you can clear some trees and some sunlight down in there.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I
For
mean,
sure.
there's so many different things. I mean,
Yeah.
if the people, if people got questions, just get subscribed to my channel and get over and ask some questions or
For
something.
sure. And I'll have his link in the description of this video as well. Lamb Jam, yeah, you're more than welcome, buddy. I appreciate you stopping in here. Anytime, if you have any, anybody in the chat, if they ever have any questions or anything, you can email me. I could hook you up with Chris or go directly to Chris's channel. But what I wanted to do was, since you were talking about, what all you can do with the seed, Chris, I wanted to plug Domain again here, because if you go to their website, and they'll have them in the description,
Yeah.
They explain to you exactly your pH levels and what's in the plant, or
Yep.
what's in the seed mix, and also how to plant it. I mean, it'll tell you,
Yeah.
water, shade, and it says all that at Domain. They have it all broken down for you that you can go in there and research and look. And they have so many different mixes,
Yes.
and I'm sure they'll have something for you
Yep.
that you want to plant. I mean, they're an
Yep.
amazing company. Go over and check them out.
They have a seed selector on their website there. You can go click on that and you can see like what type of ground, what type of pH and things you can get, what situations you could use their seed in.
Yeah, and it also tells you what time of the month to plant it. I mean, it gives you a breakdown
Yeah.
of all that, when you should
Yeah.
plant it.
I mean, obviously that's optional to where
Yeah.
you live and the
Yep.
heat, your soil temperatures and things, but it's a
sure.
guideline for
For
sure.
sure. For sure.
But they have a lot of good stuff to partake of, and they're a growing, expanding company,
Mhm.
and they have they've got some new stuff out this year, a couple new mixes. I just ordered my mixes yesterday, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
So I should have some seed coming here in the next week or two.
What'd you order, Chris, if you don't mind me asking?
I like to order Comeback Kid, which
Yeah.
is four clovers and an alfalfa, and I like the frost seed with all of that.
Yep.
And I'm trying a new wingman this year in my fall plot for that I'm gonna hunt
That's
over.
what I'm doing too. I'm going to do the wingman because of the bulb, the actual, the big sexy is what I used last year,
Yep.
but the wingman now they added a kohlrabi into there, and that's an
Yep.
above ground bulb.
Yeah, it's
And what
above
that,
ground.
yeah, and what that does is that adds the tonnage to
Yep.
your plots, because now the deer has that bulb above it. It ain't just eating the leafy greens; it's
Yep.
actually eating the bulb, which will fill the deer up. So basically, there's less pressure on your food plots when they're eating that bulb.
Yeah,
So that's
I'm
what
gonna
we're
give it a
doing.
whirl. Give it a whirl. I like that mix. It's basically a hybrid mix between Bombshell and Showstopper.
For
And
sure, for sure.
it's basically both of those combined, and then they have the
With the
kohlrabi added in.
yeah,
So there's going to be a lot of big leafy greens on top,
yeah.
and
You
I
got the
I like
forage grapes and stuff like that, the
I
kale
like
stuff like
that.
that.
I
Yeah.
like that big leafy green
Well, that's
tops.
the tonnage. That's the
And,
tonnage we were talking about, Chris. You got to
yep,
have the tonnage for the deer. Deer's average is 6.5 to 7.5 tons a year, one deer. So
for
you got to
sure.
supply that in that food plot. So you have 10 deer in your food plot that's 50 by 50. It'll wipe it out in a few days if it's heavy browse pressure. You know what I mean?
Yep, yep, for
So,
sure.
all right, Chris, was that all you have, buddy? Because I'm think I'm going to wrap it up here soon. So, do you have anything else
Yeah.
to add?
No, like I said, I just want people to, I thank you for having me on, and
Oh yeah, anytime. We're
there's
going to be doing a lot of these, Chris, for this year.
well, I
We're going
mean,
to do a lot of these.
there's people on your page that are on my page, and
Uh huh.
I'm trying to get my name out there and expand.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people interested in this type of thing.
Yeah, for sure. And
And
yeah, guys, go
I've
over and
got a
check
lot
him
of
out.
I got a lot of information to give them if they're willing to come
You
over
do.
and try.
Yeah, you do. Definitely for sure. Great channel, great food plotter, great hunting channel. We're gonna get him on some fish this year, probably up at the lake. So we're gonna have Chris
Oh yeah,
down
looking
doing some
forward to that.
fishing with me this year. So we're gonna definitely do that. But Chris is gonna be a regular part of my channel in these V lives also. We'll have different podcast like the studio style as well. On February 24th between 7 and 8, we're going to be doing a live video podcast with Phil Dixon from Limit Shield. He
Mm-hmm.
has from Bryson Industries. He has some drone information. Then he also, I believe it's called Shadow Tech, is his own company for the drones. And what they do is they go around food plots, they spray food plots, treat food plots. So we're gonna have him on with Chris and Jason from JJ Drones. That'll be February 24th. So make sure you tune into that between 7 and 8. I don't know exactly what time yet, but keep an eye out for that coming on my channel as well. As long and also more of these more casual. What I call these is more casual V lives. That's the vertical style. I look a
Yeah.
lot thinner in these verticals, so I really like it. But yeah, it's these vertical style videos. I'm going to be doing a lot of Hey, Stump Jumper, thanks for coming in. We're going to be ending this soon, so go back and definitely do the rerun on this one. A lot of great information in here, but this is a more casual, sort of like a one-on-one type deal that I'm going to be doing with you guys. I will be doing the regular studio podcast as well, so definitely check that out. Check out my website at Off the Hook Outdoors. And before I get into the closings of this, I want Chris to add anything else that he has to add. If anything upcoming, Chris, any announcements you want to make, feel free to do that now, please.
I'm just lately. I'm going to be doing some going to a lot of wild game dinners and things, and we've got a wild game dinner going at our church, which I need to talk to you about, Ted, because I want to order a pack of baits from you or something, like a small box of baits, and so I can give it away, or if you want to donate it or whatever.
You don't have to order. You don't have to order anything, buddy. I'll donate to you anything.
Whatever
Anything you need. Anything you
that would
need,
be
buddy.
cool. That would be cool.
Anything you want. You just get with me and we'll talk about it, and I'll donate to you whatever you need, buddy.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the church will appreciate that. But yeah. I'm going to a bunch of we went to the outdoor show in Harrisburg, and there's one coming up in Clearfield I'm going to go to.
Cool. And I may go to something with you that, we'll get together and go and do something with that.
Yeah. Now I know Monroeville was this weekend, but I don't even waste my time there no more.
Yeah.
That show is headed so far down south. It's just gotten bad. I just don't even waste my money coming down there anymore.
I got you. And Stump Jumper, I don't have a store yet, but I do put pre-orders in for these shirts. This is a dye sublimated shirt, the camo. But I will be putting out soon, and that's from people, requesting it. Is I don't like to pressure the community with my shirts and things like, hey, buy this shirt off me. But every once in a while, I will put an ad out there to say, hey, if anybody's interested in buying a shirt, and I take pre-orders, and you can order them through Venmo or PayPal for me. I take the order, I wait till I get a bunch of shirts, and then I put the order in, and then you get it. And it usually takes about a month or so, a couple weeks to get it in. But I do it that way because I don't stock them, and I don't have the money to keep shirts in stock. So what I do is a pre-order. So whenever I put that out there, make sure you jump on that and get a hold of me, and we can order your shirt for sure. So, but sorry to cut you off, Chris. I just wanted to
I'll just add one more thing. I hope that my internet don't keep freezing like this every time I go on.
Yeah, and like we said, we're doing this trial and error thing. We're seeing how it works, but I really like the format. So I recommend trying it. But I like to do it because, like I said, it's a little more casual. It ain't so much like, okay, we're on the live studio and you got to do this and do that. This is more of a one-on-one or two-on-one basically.
Taking on the world, Ted.
Yeah, yes, for sure. And it's just an up close and personal style live that I really like. Thanks, Ashley. Happy Sunday to you too. Thank you for stopping in. If anybody hasn't hit that like, please do so. What's up, Northeast Slab Hunter? Thank you for coming in. Another great channel. You want to see some big slabs caught, some crappie, go over to his channel and check him out. Ashley has a great channel too. She does a lot of singing and a lot of lives over there, so check her out as well. But yeah, the Stump Jumper, if you're interested in shirts, get a hold of me whenever I put the announcement up. But I'm also, and I didn't say this yet, is I'm working with a company down the street from me, just doing regular t-shirts. They do have performance stuff too as well, so I'll maybe getting into that. So that's where I'm probably going to have my store from. But any of these style shirts, dye sublimation, I'll have to put the pre-order in. They make the hot film press, on there. So
see you, Drew.
All right, Drew. Thanks for coming in. But yeah, keep an eye out for that. But really excited, good stuff coming this year. I'm looking forward to working with Chris. Chris and I became really good buddies over the years here on YouTube and thing. And plus, he is from Pittsburgh, where I am from, so that makes it a little easier to get along with him, I guess. Huh,
yeah,
Chris?
for sure.
So we're gonna have a lot of content coming out like these. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please make a comment after this is over. Let me know how you like the forum, how you like this format, and if you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, get a hold of me or go over to Chris's channel, get a hold of him. And we definitely will be doing a lot of these coming up in the future. Yep. I wanted to thank everybody. Chris, you have anything else to add real quick?
Yep, just looking forward to doing more of these and getting down and visiting you and your property down there. You wanted to go take a look at that.
Oh, yeah, we'll be doing that too. Boxy, yeah. What's up, buddy? You are late, but that's okay. I'm glad you're in here, buddy. But go back and look at the replay. We have a lot of good info in here for people that are looking to do food plots or at least trying to start it out, trying to steer you in the right direction. By no means do we know everything about it, but we have some good information out there that can help, and we like to learn from you guys as well.
Yep. So yeah, I'm just gonna say, hey, thanks for everybody coming in, and Ted, thanks for having me, and I guess we're gonna see you later.
Yeah, man. Okay, guys. So yeah, check us out. Like I always say, we're gonna end this right now. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. I wouldn't be up here doing this if it wasn't for you guys. I enjoy this. I love to talk to each and every one of you guys. I love to answer your comments. So please make a comment about this. Let us know how you're doing. And like I always say, take a kid fishing or hunting. We want to preserve that sport and pass it on to future generations. And we will see you.
See ya.